Welcome to Dan's On Fandoms. I'm Dan. Hot frickin' damn, what a series premiere for The Bad Batch. I can't even begin to tell you guys how excited I was to watch this episode and how happy I was that the episode didn't disappoint. It was fantastic from start to finish. I've got some thoughts as well as some questions following the episode, so let's dive into those. Obviously, spoilers ahead for episode 1 of The Bad Batch, so turn back now if you don't want anything spoiled. That beginning, guys, holy crap. I figured we'd see Order 66, but I didn't expect to see it right out of the gate. The Clone Wars animated series ended with Order 66, and The Bad Batch is picking up essentially right where that series left off, in 19 BBY. The moment I heard they were on the planet Caller, I knew right away we were going to see Depa Billaba and Caleb Dume, aka Kanan Jarrus, from Star Wars Rebels, and that we'd be seeing their experience during Order 66, an event we saw in Greg Weisman's 2015 Kanan comic series. Now, how Order 66 plays out for Depa Billaba and Kanan Jarrus in The Bad Batch is just slightly different from how it happens in the Kanan comic, but that's totally cool with me. In the Greg Weisman comic, which The Bad Batch obviously don't appear in, Depa Billaba and Kanan are on Caller, just like in The Bad Batch, but when Order 66 is issued, it's nighttime, Depa, Kanan, and the clone troopers are sitting around a fire after a battle, and then the clones attack the two Jedi, but Kanan and Depa Billaba kill several of them before she tells Kanan to run and escape. The broad strokes are basically the same, however only a few small details are different, and this still lines up with Kanan's explanation in Rebels on how things went down for him and Depa Billaba during Order 66. I like the idea that the Bad Batch played a hand in Kanan being able to survive Order 66 even if Crosshair was trying to kill him, and I wonder if Kanan will appear at another point throughout the series. How cool would that be? I also like that we now know that the Bad Batch didn't participate in Order 66 no matter how much Crosshair wanted to. While in Kamino, Tech explained that the Bad Batch were immune to the inhibitor chip's effects due to the manipulation of their DNA, which gave them their enhanced abilities. Although Echo is a regular clone, Tech explained that he too was also immune to the effects of the inhibitor chip due to the damage he sustained on Skako Minor by the Separatists, which is where the Bad Batch, Anakin and Rex, rescued him from during Season 7 of the Clone Wars. And Tech even mentioned Echo is more machine than man, a nod to Obi-Wan saying Vader is more machine now than man in Return of the Jedi. After Tech is explaining why the Bad Batch didn't follow Order 66, the camera zooms in on Crosshair, which let's talk about our boy Crosshair. Throughout the episode, we saw that Crosshair wasn't immune to the effects of his inhibitor chip and that he tried to execute Order 66 and kill Kanan. We also heard him state multiple times, "Good soldiers follow orders," which is the same thing we heard Clone Trooper Tup say in the Season 6 arc of the Clone Wars, where his inhibitor chip malfunctioned and basically activated early, setting up Crosshair as the main antagonist for the Bad Batch. At one point later in the episode, Tarkin even mentions that Crosshair filed a report stating the Bad Batch failed to kill Depa Billaba's Padawan, Kanan, on Caller, the same Padawan that Tarkin will encounter during Season 1 of Rebels 15 years later in 4 BBY. Gotta love it. After the Bad Batch returned to Kamino from their mission on Onderon, and they were captured by the Empire, Crosshair is examined by the Kaminoan, Nala Se, as Tarkin wanted to see what the status of his inhibitor chip is. Nala Se first appeared all the way back in Season 1 Episode 3 of the Clone Wars, but we also saw her multiple times during the same arc of Season 6 where Tup's inhibitor chip malfunctioned. In that arc, she was helping cover up the inhibitor chips and their purpose from the Jedi and the Republic, and there still seems to be some shadiness going on with the Kaminoans, which we'll get to a little later. Back to Crosshair. After the Bad Batch's mission to Onderon, Tarkin ordered Nala Se to intensify Crosshair's programming to follow orders after the probe droid he sent to follow the Bad Batch while on Onderon reported back that Crosshair was loyal to the Empire, which Nala Se's tests also confirm. By the end of the episode, Crosshair attacks the Bad Batch as they're escaping, and I imagine he'll be chasing after the Bad Batch and working on eliminating them throughout the season. Now, let's talk about our homegirl Omega, who we met this episode and learned that she's Nala Se's medical assistant. We also learned that Omega is indeed one of the 5 enhanced clones that the Kaminoans made, including Hunter, Tech, Wrecker, and Crosshair. When she and the Bad Batch were locked up in the brig, Omega tried to settle down down an irate Crosshair and told him that she knew what he was going to do and that it wasn't his fault. Additionally, she could sense Crosshair's emotions. The ability to sense other beings' emotions and to potentially see into the future are traits associated with those that are Force sensitive, so is our homegirl Force sensitive? I think there's a real possibility she is. In addition to what she says to Crosshair, we also saw her evade blaster bolts at the end of the episode, and while we've seen non-Force sensitive beings evade blaster fire like that, that's something we've most commonly seen done by Jedi or other Force sensitive beings. This begs the question, why would the Kaminoans create a Force sensitive clone? The Rise of Skywalker novelization set up that Sidious worked on creating Force sensitive clones that he could use to transfer his essence into, essentially making him immortal, so Omega could very well be one of those first clones created for this purpose. Part of me wonders if Palpatine asked the Kaminoans to create a clone that could be Force sensitive, which brings us back to Nala Se and Lama Su. At the end of the episode, we saw Nala Se help the Bad Batch escape, and Prime Minister Lama Su and Nala Se talked about not being sure what to expect with the Empire, so something is clearly up with them. Do they not want Tarkin and the Empire to know if Omega is in fact Force sensitive? Aside from this, we know Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian is also experimenting with clones and blood from Force sensitive beings, so clearly the Empire is up to something that has to do with clones and the Force. Palpatine is up to some tricks. I imagine this is something we'll learn more about as the season progresses. I also want to mention that I love the inclusion of the droid AZ-1, the medical droid who was scanning Echo after the Bad Batch's fight in the mess hall. AZ-1 first appeared in the same arc that saw Tup's inhibitor chip malfunction, and that droid is just goofy and funny. As the episode concludes, Hunter mentions traveling to J-19, which is the sector that the planet Seleucami is in. Seleucami was home to the former clone trooper, Cut Lawquane, who deserted the army of the Grand Republic, married and started a family, and was last seen in Season 2 of the Clone Wars on Seleucami with his family, so it appears that's where the Bad Batch are headed next. All in all, this episode was fantastic and completely exceeded my expectations. The next episode drops on Friday, and I can't wait to see what that episode has in store for the Bad Batch. But what do you guys think? What's your thoughts on the Bad Batch premiere? And do you think Omega is Force sensitive? Let us know down in the comments. If you like this video, please help out the channel by hitting that like button and making sure you subscribe. Follow the channel on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Dan's on Fandoms. Thanks for watching, and stay nerdy.